Hey, church. Just thinking through some things today as we continue on day 24 of our COVID devotional series, and we know that the Passover, the Jewish Passover, started last night and goes through next week, and so I've been kind of thinking on that and all that means. And I was looking at this passage this morning as I'm kind of journeying through this kind of week before the crucifixion. And some of the gospel authors put this at different times. Some put it right after the triumphal entry. Some put it right before. But just a powerful passage. In John 12 is where I'm reading. And I read this, first 8 verses. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus therefore came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. So they gave a dinner for him there. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of the ones reclining at the table with him. Mary took a pound of expensive ointment made from pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this ointment not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor?" A denarii would be about a day's wages. And so this was an incredible amount of perfume, or very expensive perfume. He said this, though, John says, not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. And having charge of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone, so that she may keep it for the day, or she intended to keep it for the day of my burial. For the poor you always have with you, but you do not always have me." I was just thinking through that passage, and Judas. We often focus on his betrayal and the evil that must have been in him to betray Christ. But and you think about this story, and you see that John even clues us into the fact that he is a thief. And that he had grown accustomed to, that he was used to, as he kept charge of the money bag, taking money that was given to Christ and the disciples to reach out to those in need. And Judas would rob from that. He would steal from the money bag. And that just was thinking about that this morning, and thinking about that whole scenario and what Judas was doing. And it just hit me that we never can get to the point as a follower of Christ where we can let our guard down and somehow imagine that we are beyond faltering, that we are beyond messing up and succumbing to sin. Judas, I think, had obviously heard those lessons that Christ had taught about how you cannot serve both God and money. About how you'll choose to serve one or the other. One of those will be your God. And so I think Judas had heard those. He was right there with Christ for all 3 years of his ministry. And yet somewhere along the way, he had just missed it. He had gotten to the point where his God was money, was not Christ. And man, I can tell you, there have been times in my life where I didn't realize it, but I just got to the point where something else, whether it was money or a relationship or a hobby, became more important in my life than my relationship with God. And so I encourage you, especially right now, as we do have good intentions to reach out to people, even those can become more of a God to us than God, and the very one who calls us to do that. And so I encourage you as you take this week to really, this Easter week and this Passover season, to really allow God to peer in and be honest and transparent with Him and with yourself, and really take this opportunity to do some soul searching and looking inside at real motives and where your heart really does stand. Because, church, we can never get to the point where we are beyond messing up. And so just want to encourage you that even when we do, man, God is gracious. God is forgiving. And he is willing to accept us back as he did in the parable of the prodigal son. And so, man, when you find yourself there, when you find yourself at a point that you never thought you'd get to, don't let Satan say you are beyond help. Just turn back to God. And I can tell you, he's waiting on you. Have a great, great day. Brian's going to lead us tomorrow in our devotional thought. And then tomorrow night, Good Friday, our Good Friday service will be online at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And so encourage you again, that'll be a communion service. And so love to have you join us for that as you celebrate communion, whether you're alone by yourself at home or with your family. And I'll walk us through what that looks like. All right. Have a great, great day and have a great Easter week.